everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of Kicks Over Coffee. We are trying to talk to thought leaders and solution providers during the coronavirus crisis that we're facing right now. With me today is Michael Hanahan, who is with Superdrives. He is the Senior Vice President for the Americas. And those who attend a lot of our events know Michael well, know their product. Superdrives put out the Desiccants to help with mold issues in packaging and for shoes. But Michael also has a background in shipping. So today we're going to talk a little bit about supply chain challenges that he sees and what he's hearing from his customers. Talk a little bit about solutions for the upcoming, rainy season, heat, humidity, et cetera. And then we're going to talk a little bit about coffee. So Michael, welcome. Thank you for joining us today from your home office.
I'm delighted to be here.
Great. So we've seen a lot of blank sailings take place as orders drop. People are kind of scurrying to figure out what their supply chains look like. What are you hearing? What are the concerns? What are some guidelines you're giving folks?
Well, I'm hearing sort of third party from my old friends who were still in the steamship industry. I left about 7 years ago, although everybody in Superdry, or most people in Superdry, are old steamship guys. What we're hearing is the carriers, obviously, and your member is going to know this more than I, have canceled some sailings and are basically trying to figure out when to restart them. The last I heard from an associate who's still in the business is by the end of March, early April, they'll start up the rotations again. Now, I don't know if that means, and I doubt it means this, full sailings, full schedules, or easing back in. I think that's a lot dependent on the demand, which is a situation which is very much in flux right now with all the retail stores closing. From our side, we've seen questions coming in saying we have to store our goods. There's basically three categories. And I know I'm going to spoil my Hollywood good looks by putting on my reading glasses, so you'll have to forgive me.
No, please do.
At that stage in my life, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right.
There's basically three categories. Merchandise that's already packed and properly packed, I emphasize properly packed, but has to be held. What to do with that? Well, as long as it's properly packed and the right amount of desiccant, the right dosage has been included, you basically don't have to do anything with your master shipping cartons. And we feel if you open them up, it will allow additional atmosphere to get in there. Most of these atmospheres are very high humidity, in high humidity areas. So we're saying you're probably fine. However, if it's being stored in a container, we would add our full container desiccants, which will dehumidify the inside of the container. The second category is stuff that is going to be export packed, but is not export packed yet, but therefore is going to have to be held. We're getting a lot of that inquiries from factories. And we're saying, since you don't know how long it's going to be, just up the dosage a bit. It doesn't have to be double the dosage. It could be, it's a fairly cheap product, but it's not going to make any difference. But if it's export packed properly, for example, for your footwear guys in a shoebox, for your guys who move apparel in a poly bag and then sealed, you shouldn't have a problem. But since you don't know how long it's going to be there, a little additional is not going to hurt. Now, there's a subset, and this is very minor, of people who already have received their goods, but they're going to move them off-site. I don't know why, perhaps cheaper warehousing locations. And in that case, if, for example, let's say you have apparel and you're going to put them in poly bags, that's very important. You have to isolate them. So any product like ours can work. It doesn't have to be our product, but any product has the same basically situation. We can't dry out the whole world. So you have to isolate the amount of volume the product needs to work on. Then we're suggesting export packet, put it in a poly bag, and then store it off-site. If you're going to store it in a container, even if it's in a master carton, a master cardboard, craft liner board type of carton, we strongly suggest using the full container size desiccant. You need about 10 to 12 in a standard 40 or 45, just so you can, dehumidify that container as well.
Right. Your
product should be okay. If you don't use the full size desiccant for the inside of the container, you might have some damage, mold on the carton. Some retailers, when they're open up again, won't accept that. Some don't care as long as the product's okay.
I mean, that's super great points because I think, people who focus on supply chain think about that, but executives need to be planned. They need to be ahead of the game when it comes to, China's ramped back up. The factories are ramped back up.
Yep.
Demand here has dropped
Hmm.
significantly, near zero in some areas, and you've still got product that you've got to deal with that is being either held or shipped, and as it's held or shipped, you got to make sure your quality control standards are implemented, and even more so now because, to your point, we don't know how long these things are going to be held and in what location.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's from a standpoint of moisture damage, it doesn't make any difference really. It's the length of time and the what our product tries to do is lower the dew point because it's the constant increase in temperature and decrease in temperature which creates water vapor to outgas from the atmosphere.
Right.
So if you can isolate your product and then lower the dew point, you'll be fine.
Okay. And people who haven't been thinking about this and all of a sudden are realizing like the shipping that they are used to, where it's, kind of more fast paced, and now they're being held up and they need a solution. You guys have a team in China and in Asia that handles that, and you can help those people make sure their products are, not damaged from mold, et cetera. Correct?
Yeah, we offer and we recommend factory inspections. That may or may not be possible, is particularly in countries that are behind China in terms of the epidemic.
Mm.
But we certainly want to talk to, hopefully face to face, but if not, like we're talking now, on how to use the product. We have offices in pretty much every country in Asia and most countries in most continents in the world. We have offices in the United States and a lot of offices in Europe. You know, all over.
Yeah.
But the primary demand for the product, obviously, in Asia. We have four factories. The biggest one is China. Our China factory is up and running on the 17th when the government there allowed people to come in. We're at about 94% of staff. We had about 5% of staff, I think, that lived in Hubei province. So when they come back, they have to self-quarantine. Just to let everyone know, I know it's a consideration for everyone. We supply all of our our staff with face masks and gear. Actually, our product, the packaging in our product is made with the same stuff that they're making the hazmat suits from in China. So that just as an aside, but we're up and running now. Obviously, we saw a decline in January and February. We expected a decline, but that decline was exacerbated by the fact that the Chinese New Year was extended.
Right.
In a way, it was good when it happened when it did, because we make additional product for the traditional rush after the Chinese New Year. We're back up now. In March we've only seen a 5% decline in terms of sales. That's going to change. I think we're seeing this great rush to either get stuff moved out of origins or to protect it while it has to sit to wait till Europe and the United States retailers open up again, which should be, who knows, really, but 2 months, a month and a half.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap it up, we always talk about coffee because I'm a huge coffee drinker. Today, I'm donning my London School of Economics mug in support of all my friends who are on lockdown in the UK right now. Thinking of them, I'm hoping they're safe. And pretty soon, I think in our area we may have some stay in place orders that are going to be issued. So thinking about all of that, but from a coffee,
I wish I had the foresight to use my keep calm and carry on mug.
To match it up.
I didn't.
So you have one. You have one. So are you a big coffee drinker in the mornings and the afternoons?
Yeah, I love coffee. I generally I go to Costco and I get the Starbucks French roast. I like a nice rich coffee. I've been drinking that for a good long time now. When I can get it, there's a coffee called Carnelian, which is very, very good if you like a dark roast kind of coffee like I do. It's a little bit hard to get and it's expensive, but it's worth buying a little bag occasionally. But this is my go-to coffee.
There you go. Perfect.
And this is my second cup. I'll have another cup in the afternoon, but generally the first cup in the morning gets my heart started sufficiently to go on for the rest.
To drive it in. That's good. That's great. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your continued support of our industry, and thank you for jumping on the call with me today. And folks, if you need to get in touch with Michael, if you have product and you're not quite sure about the quality control of it, if it's sitting anywhere really, in a warehouse here, in a warehouse overseas, etc., you can drop me a line at info@fdra.org, and we'll put you in contact with Michael. But Michael, thank you so much for your insights and your time today. Appreciate it.
Stay safe, everybody. We'll get through this.
Stay safe. Thank you. All right. Until next time, keep drinking coffee, keep wearing kicks.